Oi, oi, guys, you beautiful human beings out there. I hope everybody's having a good one. And I thought I'd sit outside because it's such a bloody lovely day today. Cool, oi, oi. It really is a nice day today. Beautiful morning. And I just got back from the chiropractor. Go down there. Orlando Spine Studio. Absolutely banging place. They are really, really cool down there. And my daughter's doing some work down there for them as well right now, while she's waiting to go into chiropractic school herself. So absolute banging place. Go and check them out if you're in the Central Florida area. Great people, great atmosphere as well in there. But I don't know. I don't know how this came to me. I was talking to my therapist yesterday, and I mentioned about languages and how I was always fascinated by languages. How you can have, like where I lived in London, and then you just go like a 3-hour boat trip, and you're in France, and they speak completely and utterly different, and you all of a sudden you can't understand somebody. And I was always fascinated by that. In fact, I even wanted to be an interpreter at one point, a translator. And when I was younger, because I had this like what is that? How is that happening? How is the globe broken up into different countries? But hey, if you move from here to here, you can't understand the people. It's absolutely amazing languages. I've always been fascinated by it, and you can use that the theory of language, which I'm going to go into, to help you in your everyday of pushing forward and the understanding of how things work. As far as when you're trying to change a pattern, when you're trying to change a default that your mind just keeps going back to, it takes over and over and over again practice. And in the beginning, you're not quite going to believe it. Hence why I bring up about language. Because as I was having this conversation with my therapist yesterday, Judith, much love to Judith, I mentioned about language, and I mentioned about how I was fascinated by languages when I was younger, and people, and how the different cultures, and it just is fascinating. And I said all it is the interpretation of sound. That's what it is. If you're trying to learn a language, what happens right in the very beginning? There's a little bit of overwhelm. There's a little bit of, how am I going to pick this up? I know when I was in school, in secondary school, in London, and I took up, I've just seen a honeybee, beautiful, and I took up French. I did French for a few years, actually, for 2 or 3 years. And that whole beginning stages of the excitement of it, but then the overwhelm of it, of, how am I going to learn this? How is this going to happen? I'm never. We tell ourselves the negatives. I'll never understand this. I'm not going to be able to get this. I'm not progressing fast enough. I'm not. It's okay. It's okay. The end goal is where you want to get. There is no. Nobody says how fast you get there unless you have a deadline for work or something. Then someone's dictating that. And sometimes that can be just absolutely blown out of proportion, or a ridiculous amount of time to get stuff done. I know I got that a lot in chefing when they says, you got this amount of time and this amount of work. And you're like, I don't even know how I'm going to do that. But if you're learning the language, right in the very beginning, it becomes a little bit kind of intimidating a little bit, depending on some of the languages that you're learning too. I know some are a little bit easier. They say the English language is the hardest one. I can believe it, especially if you get in the slang that I use too for English words, and then it gets really like, shit, now that's a whole different English. But think about this. Your brain has to interpret the sound that it's not heard before. Think about that. Your brain has to interpret the sound, not the language, the sound, to actually start recognizing what it's actually trying to say. So over time, in the beginning, you may not have that understanding right away because you're in the overwhelm, you're in the, oh no, right? But if you look at it as the brain learns through repetition, and if you have certain things that are in a way, like I speak English, it's the one language I know, right? But when the brain goes, okay, I want to learn this, I don't know those sounds at all. I don't know what those sounds are for, I'm looking at the plant, so I'm going to use that as an example, but I don't know what those sounds are, what these beautiful human beings here say for that plant. But I know I can learn it through repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition wins the day. There's those times when you're trying to shift a pattern in your own default that you're going to sit there like you sat there trying to learn a language and go, it just keeps coming back. But you keep coming back stronger, you keep coming back learning more, you keep coming back with repetition. And the more your brain starts to recognize as you keep on saying, no, that's not the way, this is the way, no, that's not the way, this is the way, it will start taking that on board as the truth because you're starting to pick up the pattern. Just like the language. And once your brain picks up that pattern, once your brain starts to, in language, recognize the sounds for whatever they're saying for that plant, once it starts recognizing it, now it knows. And it's the same for changing that default. There's going to be those times when you might be walking into some fears, a lot of unknowns. I tell you what, when you're walking into unknowns, don't have expectations. You can have thoughts of things that may happen, but don't have the expectation of this is going to happen. Because the unknown is a playground, guys. The unknown is somewhere where you go in there and you learn. Just like walking into a classroom, sitting down and having an instructor teach you a different language or a friend to teach you a different language. It's a beautiful thing if you stick with it. But how many people give up? How many people give up? How many people say, I can't do it? This is too much. I can't do this. It's getting on top of me. I'm overwhelmed. There's ways of doing things, but it takes repetition. Just like the learning of the language. Remember, it's just sound. It's just sound. It's like, I remember walking the other night with my daughter, and we was in a great conversation, and all of a sudden I heard we both did, heard this noise that we'd never heard before. And it was a bird of some kind, and we stood there looking around looking for it, but it was because the brain, there's probably birds making noise around us all over, but we're not recognizing it because it's the norm. It's what the brain knows. But all of a sudden, throw in a sound that, oh, what's that? I always remember being when I was a kid in London, I always knew the British bikes. Just like, Harley Davidson's here. There's a whole sound to it. You'd hear bikes all day long, but you pick out that one different sound from a long way away until it comes up and approaches you and you go, yep. So stick with it, guys. It's repetition. Repetition wins the day. Using your tools. Repeating meditation. Not quitting on yourself. Doing your breath work. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Telling those what ifs, and it comes in with a negative. Following it up with the what if and the positive. Over and over and over again. You don't give up. You don't say after a few tries, that don't work. It will work. You've got to give it time. You've got to add that patience, just like learning the language. Hope everybody has a good one, guys. Anybody has any comments or questions or anything like that, please, please. I wish there was more people that would actually talk and hit me up in the comments. I'll get a lot of different views, and no one, hit me up in the comments. It's good to hear from people. What kind of discussion can you have around this subject, right? Because it's all to do with sound. It's fascinating to me, and I'm always open to learning, no matter who that is. So please hit me up in the comments, and I'll tell you what, you'll be really helping me out if you go and hit that like and subscribe for me, because this gets this message out to many other people. And I tell you, you don't know who you're going to be affecting. You don't know who you're going to be helping out just with this, maybe this video. I know I get some comments and they say thanks, you know, that really helped me out. But it's down to people spreading that word, beautiful people like you, spreading that word out there for me as well. Stay that course, guys. Namaste.